You're listening to Raised You Better, the mother-son podcast where generational differences, hot topics, and everyday chaos collides, sometimes resulting in one of us saying, I raised you better. I'm Jesse, and joining me, my mom, Kathleen. We're close, we care, and we mostly agree, except when we don't. Each week, we dig into issues, cultures, and beliefs and try to understand each other better. This is Real Family.
This is Raised You Better.
Great. All right, coming up on today's episode, we're unpacking what happens when you face death and loss and how it affects your parenting in the future. We're chatting about what we owe to those who raised us once they've become old and brittle. And yes, we'll answer a question from our caller hotline. Welcome to episode 3, Death and Taxes. All right, let's start off with our caller hotline. Do you want to go ahead and read that?
Yep. I have a 15-year-old son that's been really upset with me because I've been checking his phone. He says it's an invasion of privacy, and he's a minor and I pay for the phone. I feel like it's my job to know what's going on and keep him safe. Am I wrong for checking it whenever I feel it's needed?
I have thoughts.
I'm sure you do, and I do as well.
Is checking the phone precedented? Was there like an event that happened beforehand?
Yeah, he's a 15-year-old kid.
Okay.
That's the event for sure.
Well, I guess if your reasoning is, if the mom's reasoning is you pay for the phone, and minor aside, if you pay for the phone, you're basically then the relationship is reductive of monetary value at that point, right? I pay for this and it's an exchange, right? So just because you pay for something, does that completely remove your autonomy?
No.
Okay.
I think the 15-year-old is what we should focus on as far as that. I mean, the 15-year-old I could probably understand, you more so than me. He's feeling like, okay, I'm going along with life. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is privacy. It should be off limits to my mom.
Correct.
And the mom is saying, dude, you're 15 years old. I know what you're all are up to because I've been 15 too. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, raising you three boys, you tried every trick under the book. And I always felt like when something needed to be done, I got this sensation inside of me. And it was always like when one of you guys got in trouble and I took your phone. And in those cases, I checked. So was I checking every day?
No.
But when you got in trouble, yes, I was checking your phone. And thank God I did, because I found a whole host of shit that I wouldn't have known without checking the phone.
Right. Okay, so but we can agree that it is an invasion of privacy, but perhaps warranted, is what you're saying.
I don't know that it's an invasion of privacy because
it's his device with communication.
No, it's his mom's device.
No, it's his.
She's paying for it though.
But it's a gift, right?
Maybe.
Right.
Okay, I'll take that as a gift.
Right.
But it's an ongoing monthly gift. Every month I'm paying that. So I don't know if I buy it as a gift as much of a extension of a communication device that should be used accordingly.
Okay, understood. So is she wrong for checking it whenever she feels it's needed?
I don't think she's wrong.
I think maybe. Like, she could be taking advantage of it, you know?
Well, maybe, but she said whenever it's needed. So I told you, I shared with you that I checked your guys' phone when you got in trouble. Mm-hmm. And it was warranted. And I'll never forget the time that Nick got his phone taken away and he must have bullied you for the phone.
For my phone.
And he took his
SIM
card and put it in. And I called your phone. I don't know how I found out, but I found out that it was not your phone anymore.
Right.
And I went to school and I pulled him out of class. And
I think
said,
I even got a call out of class.
You both did. Yeah. So I just feel like it's our responsibility as a parent to, listen, your guys' brain is not fully developed yet.
I'm not exactly sure that that's a valid argument because I think recently in the past decade or so, science suggests that the younger generation is maturing 3 to 5 years ahead of what their genetic age is.
And maybe, but what their genetic age is, but is their frontal lobe fully developed? Because really...
Well, their maturity level.
But what does that mean? Like, you're a science guy. Did you cross-check your data to see if the frontal lobe is part of the maturation process that has been expedited?
I think the argument that your frontal lobe is not fully developed is, I think it's less based in science and more in like argument's sake, because the basis of that, I'm not sure. I think we're beating a dead horse here.
I think that you just disagree and you feel like that 15-year-old kid should have his privacy.
Perhaps.
And I half understand that. And if he gets in trouble and the mom is getting the phone and she's looking at it, there's obviously a reason because he got in trouble. Now, there's all sorts of things out there. There's sexting. There's sending inappropriate pictures of other people. There's, buying drugs or alcohol off things. Bullying.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see your point. Your point's becoming more elucidated.
I definitely think that it's a parent's responsibility, but I also don't think like watching their kid's phone day in and day out and waiting for something bad to happen. That's very different than
like, I'm going to catch you.
Yes.
Right.
No, I don't think that. And maybe if he's like, you guys always had valid points with me and you would come to me and you would talk to me. So maybe this kid, if he's really upset, could say, hey, Mom, just give me a heads up when you're doing it. I don't feel comfortable with you doing it behind my back. But if I deserve it, it's one thing.
Correct. Yeah.
So
no, makes sense.
Maybe that would.
And
would
actually, this might tie us into one of our topics we're going to discuss later, which is grown adults taking care of their grown parents once they're old. So, maybe it could be reversed, going through your mom's phone.
Looking at your mom's phone. Well, actually, with elder abuse and people taking advantage,
that's
like
a good point.
I think we'll talk about that later, but I think it may be okay in that case too.
Well, as previously discussed, today's episode is death and taxes, and let's unpack kind of why this episode is titled this, because, Mom, you have faced quite a bit of loss in your earlier years. So do you want to kind of go into that, and then we'll kind of talk about how it affected your parenting style when it came to raising us?
Well, that's the part that I would actually like to know, because I don't know how it impacted my family life. I can tell you all the death that I've gone through and how it's kind of shaped me around death, but I don't know how I've tortured you guys with it. So this will be a very enlightening conversation.
I wouldn't use the word torture, but give us some background on kind of, and I hate to reduce them to numbers, but like, can you go in order?
So my first death was my brother. I was 10, he was 14. He died of pneumonia. We think he caught the pneumonia from one of the old-fashioned hot tubs that used to be made out of wood
barrel,
because they expand and contract. He was living with my mom at the time. I was living with my dad. My dad blamed my mom for the death, but I think somewhere along the line, I picked up some just
grief, guilt,
not guilt or grief, but I was scared every time I got sick. Or every time you guys got sick. And pneumonia, and all of you guys have asthma.
Yeah.
So it was pretty torturous every time you guys got sick. After that,
That's one.
That's one. After that, my uncle died, but I wasn't super, like, he lived in a different state. My half-sister, Stacy, passed away by suicide.
How much older is she?
She was 10 years older than me. She had 2 kids.
And you were how old at the time?
I was 18.
Okay. And this is when the 18 when you turned 18, this is when it started getting bam, bam, bam,
yeah, I had him like 3 in a row every 3 months. This one was a little weird because I didn't know it was suicide. We just went to visit her in the hospital and found out later at her funeral that she had tried 3 other times by taking pills. This time she took pills and it didn't kill her either, but I guess she aspirated on the pills and she had a collapsed lung, and that kind of moved on. And then 3 months later, my high school boyfriend, Ted, who I had recently broken up with, passed away in a plane crash. He was he had his private pilot's license and studying aeronautical engineering, but his passion was World War II planes.
Mm-hmm.
And his neighbor Doug and him redid a World War II bomber, and they were flying that in an air show.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed away. And then 3 months later, my dad passed away.
Right.
So
and that was at 19, 18?
I was at 19.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I had just turned 19. So all three of them were boom, boom, boom.
And they covered the illness, mental health, suicide, diabetes, and heart attack, and then freak accident. So
yeah, none of them were the ability to say goodbye or even know. It was just like a phone call or a wake up in the middle of the night kind of thing.
Right.
It wasn't anything that I could.
Really, the only thing that's missing is, I should have laughed, murder. And
I've
you got
experienced
4
that
out of those. Really?
Through my niece's son was murdered. I know he wasn't like he lived in a different state though too, but that was gang violence. So I live with.
And I do remember
hurt.
after that incident, you wouldn't let us wear red, blue, green,
no flashing finger signs and pictures. No, absolutely not. And I got backlash from all of you guys from that.
Well, I think less from me, more from Nick. But
you and your red hat that I had to find in your room and hide.
Oh,
yeah.
Not that red hat, by the way.
No, it was some red hat, and I kept finding it. It's almost like you guys did it just to like bug me.
Well, okay, so adding murder to the mix, you got murder, heart disease, suicide, freak accident, and just general illness. So,
and then my mom died. I mean, you guys, all those other ones happened before you guys were born.
Right.
And then my mom.
So, facing all that loss, do you have any inside observations about how it affected your parenting? Maybe this will help.
Okay.
I will place you somewhere in between helicopter and high-strung paranoid. And that's kind of where you were.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you were from when I was in sixth grade to probably junior year. Yeah. Senior year, you became very cool.
Oh, I
did?
Like
really chill.
Oh.
And then since then, you've just been awesome. But yeah, for a while, I think Nick leaving the house kind of helped a little bit. For a while, you were, I would say, strict. I wouldn't say I was miserable. I wouldn't say we were abused.
We were not abused.
Yeah. So knowing that, where we place you, do you just consider that to be inherently how you would parent, or would you have liked to be something else without all these other influences?
So the funny thing is, I thought I was being someone else because I was parenting you, not because of those deaths.
I don't mean parenting us in a different way than you were parented.
Okay.
I meant all of these events and losses shaped how you parented.
I think they shaped a part of how I parented inadvertently, meaning, I was worried sick all the time. Every time you guys were sick, I took you to the doctor. It wasn't like let's just wait and see how you feel tomorrow. I mean, my brother's death overnight is ringing in my head. And even though I wouldn't have liked it to be because of that, brings us back to episode 1 where I talk about the generational receipts. Like how I was raised and all the shit that happened to me. I can't help but it come out, even though I didn't see.
My mom refuses to accept the term trauma.
No, and not for me.
It is generational trauma is what she's referring to, except she thinks that's a made-up word.
No, I don't think it's a made-up word. What I don't want to be pinned with is I know people that have gone through trauma and chronic abuse and child rape and all those horrific things. I don't feel like what I went through warrants the word trauma.
Well, I would argue that trauma is objective. Just because your hurt isn't as bad as somebody else's hurt, it doesn't mean that hurt isn't the worst hurt you've experienced.
True, but
So if
I
you
also don't
grade it on
want
a
to
scale-
be that victim. I don't want to put myself in this victim role. I chose to deal with it. You know, I told you before, like your grandma was English. It was always, you know, suck it up, buttercup, stiff upper lip, you know, all that kind of stuff. That was the generation that I was raised in.
Yeah.
So I packed it away, but I dealt with it. I went to counseling. Like I processed through it. It took me many, many years. And I thought I had processed through it by the time I started raising you guys. Or at least I sat there thinking, okay, he's got a cold. I don't think it warrants an emergency trip visit. I talked myself off the cliff. But what I would like to know is all the loss that I have went through, how did it impact your view of the loss of a loved one?
I would say because those happened to you so early, and we really don't know much about all of it. I am basically unaffected.
So I didn't scare you in the fact, because I know when I told you.
I'm not scared, cautious,
Yeah.
perhaps, aware, but no, not scared. Okay. In fact, I think grandma was the first death that I could remember.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because you live farther away or I didn't fully get, I didn't feel the weight of it. We were 7.
6 or 7, yeah.
I remember not crying. And I don't know if it's because I hadn't felt death before, so I didn't know I was supposed to cry.
How could you process that
But
at
Tony
6?
and Nick could, and they were and did.
I think Nick for sure did. He was 9 or 10.
Loss now, like if I lost my dog, I would be devastated.
Yeah, I get it.
And if I lost you or one of my brothers, devastated. But I don't think I've experienced enough of it to.
And let's hope you don't have to for many, many years.
Speaking about your mom, though, I think a really interesting story to tell would be about your long lost sister.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Can we talk about that I think we have a couple minutes and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, so if you guys watched episode 1, you know that from my dad, there's 5 to 6 children, depending on how you ask. So a few years back, I'm going to say 6 years back, my oldest half sister, Susan, contacted me and said she's the one that did all of the Find My Grave.
Okay, but let's start with you had gifted me a 23andMe for Christmas.
Yes, I did.
And I took it.
Yep.
And so I'm on there. And then
I cheaped out and didn't give it to your brothers because they would have the same.
Well, I have a twin, so we share 99.99997% DNA.
So that went on. And then I did one for myself.
Right.
But Susan is the one that manages the Find My Grave website.
But because you did the 23andMe, which is linked with Ancestry.com, you popped up.
And Find a Grave.
Right.
Which is what she did.
Okay.
They contacted her and said, I guess I found some.
Like a potential relation match. This, what's her name?
Her name her name at birth was Jocelyn.
Okay.
So she reached out to my half sister, and Susan called me.
Who she is not related to.
She's not related
but
to.
You're related
she's
to
the one
her.
online that is like listed.
Right.
And so Susan called me and said, this person's kind of come out of the woodwork. I'm a little concerned because there's
Might
fraud and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, she's actually matching through your mom's side. And I'm like, my mom? That's crazy. My mom's like English, like really, like this couldn't happen. But I do remember her telling me this story of when she was young. She left to go join the circus. And I always thought it was a joke. But I guess what happened is she got pregnant. And now my mom was born in 1935.
Okay, so
in
pregnant
England.
out of wedlock?
Out of wedlock.
Okay.
18 years old.
Okay, in England, which is
in England.
Proper high society.
Yeah, not okay. So I guess, and unfortunately I found this out after my mom had passed, but I guess somehow one of my grandparents knew and sent her away to a home that takes care of you while you're pregnant, and then you give your baby up for adoption.
Right.
And with this, my newfound sister produced letters that my mom had written her as a baby.
And
it
my
was-
grandmother's handwriting
Yeah.
it's dead to none. Like,
Yeah.
you know it. It is
Right from the get-go.
nothing like it. It's
Yep.
almost typed. It's
perfectly perfect.
and I remember you showed me that. But what was exhilarating is I almost shit a brick when I saw her for the first time, because she's
she's a spitting image of grandma.
It was crazy. She sounds like her.
She does sound like her.
But yeah, you have a long lost sister.
Yeah, and she actually came to the States and visited us and met all of us.
Pretty cool.
And it was, So
cool.
I have like a legit crazy ass family.
Very, very crazy. Well, I think better a time than any to get into the taxes part of this portion. And I don't mean taxes in a literal sense.
Yes.
I mean taxes
Okay.
in what we owe to the people who raised us.
Okay.
Once they're no longer
All right, we're
able-
calling that taxes.
Well,
okay.
you pay your tax. You know what I mean?
I think it would be care. Like you're going to care for me how I cared for you.
I'm being candid with my words. So let me ask you this. Let's say in, how old are you now? Okay.
55.
30 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd
well,
be 85.
Yeah, 85.
All right.
Let's say you're having some trouble on your own
Yes.
and you can't get up the stairs by yourself. Well, maybe
That's why we bought a one-story house. I pre-thought that.
All right. Just
but
to
I
get up
where
to the
you're
front
going.
door.
I get where you're going.
Let me ask, do you want to be placed in a home with people
No,
alike, or do you want to be placed with one of us?
I don't want to be placed with one of you guys because I would not want to have
So you want
guys.
a private nurse in your home? Or?
I think there could be a hybrid version of this. I think that maybe
You don't want to be in one of our houses?
and have you or your partner have to wipe my butt. No, I don't. I don't. First of all, that just I wouldn't want to put that on my kids or my kids' spouses. And you wouldn't want to do that for me either. That's
Well,
just
they
not going
make
to be comfortable.
the elderly showers that take the jets from all sides.
Yeah. So every time, no, it just, I think I would love to be in a part of a house with one of you guys, and you brought somebody in a few hours every day to care for
Right.
me that way, and then
It sounds expensive.
I know it does sound expensive. I mean. I think I want you guys to make the best decision for you guys in your life.
Okay.
And, this is something I remember my mom talking about. And unfortunately, not my dad, because he died from a heart attack at 60. But I think this is very common for us to think that we don't want you guys having to go through this stuff. A little bit is okay, you know?
See, the perspective that I have is the more time, the merrier, you know?
If it's productive and good time. If I have lost my brain capacity,
Well, okay.
and my body functions.
I think 85 is a little premature for that. There's some pretty sprung 85-year-olds.
and let's hope I'm like that.
Okay.
Let's hope. I think it's a hard thing to talk about, and I think it's good to talk about it, but it's also it's something we all don't want to. But I have written a will and a trust, and in
I have a
there
funny
is
story about this.
Oh no, a non.
I have a funny
What
story
story?
about this. So it was my birthday, and
Okay.
I am somewhere around town, but you call me in a panic.
Oh.
Winnie had an emergency. We have to go drive
Oh, yeah.
12 hours
Yeah.
to San Diego. And we need to do this. Can you go check in on the house, make sure
Yes.
everything's off? I'm worried I left something on.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you were as clear, actually. I think you just said, we have an emergency. We have to drive this.
Yeah,
go
I
check on the
remember that.
house.
I do remember that.
You-
was
I
your
don't
guys'
think you
birthday.
told me there was something wrong with the dog. So I show up and I walk in, and you're pretty OCD. So your house is
Yeah, normally.
spick and span usually.
Yeah.
And it was a mess. Like a tornado went through it. And I had just been listening to murder documentary podcasts.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was my job that I was working at the
Okay.
time. I was driving a lot.
Okay.
And so I think I listened to too many of them because I walked in and I thought that you guys were being hunted or something.
What?
Because when I walked into the office, perfectly placed in the center of the office is an envelope that said last will and testament.
Oh my God.
And it's not sealed. And so I was like, oh no. The house is a mess. She said they have an emergency. What's happening? I'm calling you like crazy. You're not picking up. I go, just curious, and I like read a little bit of it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be seeing this right now. And I call my dad, and I'm like, can you try to get a hold of somebody? I don't know if it's I don't know. I can't get a hold of her. Maybe if we both call. I'm texting Tony, Nick. I get Kelsey on the phone.
Oh my
I made
gosh.
this big ruckus out of it because I thought you guys were on the run.
On the run.
On the run.
Like, what would we do? A 54-year-old and a No, I specifically though just don't have a do not resuscitate because I don't want to be a burden. And I don't want to live that way.
Listen, resuscitation happens to 14-year-olds. It's an important,
Well,
step
and I think
in
that there's
saving life.
I think that it's clear in there.
Do you mean
on that.
you don't want to be hooked up to life support?
No, I don't.
Okay, because resuscitation is a little different. If you suffer from arrhythmia or a heart attack, you get resuscitated.
I think I don't know the specific legal terminology, but it's not a simple resuscitation. It's they don't want to put me on life support just to live on life support.
Okay.
So I don't want that. I don't want you guys to have to take care of me. And I know deep down in myself, that's not who I am, and I wouldn't want myself in that situation.
Okay.
So now you know it. And so does everybody else out there.
Well, this wraps up the end of episode 3. Thanks for listening.
This is I Raised You Better.